we are definitely kind of going. So here I am set up at home in my beautiful little garage because I'm not in the studio today. And we're going to cut these molds open. If you will recall, last week made these 2 molds. Link upstairs, up there. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. We poured these molds, made these boxes last time, and now we're going to cut them apart. All right, we are set up and ready to go. Let's see if we can't start by prying this mold apart. That's kind of the first step. All right, that was easily done. Pop this, but see, this is the whole key to these molds. So you have to be able to pop them apart easy. If you can't pop them apart easy, you are going to be sad. You are going to be miserable. So that's why we don't like super glue these kids together. I mean, if you can see the wax kind of got stuck in there. It was pretty well waxed. You'll recall from last week, we waxed this thing up, kept it more or less from leaking. By the way, there was just absolutely no problem with the leaks. We got a little tiny bit of leakage down in here, but really no big deal. Now, here's the real acid test. All of those models that are sitting in there have to break off this base. So I have to, this is the hard part. I got to leverage those off of there. Oop, and there they go. Oh, that didn't leverage off of there. Okay, that's not the base. This is the flat base. As you can see it. The rubber managed to get underneath the base a little bit, but that didn't hurt anything. Let's trim that off. One really great way to trim rubber is to stretch it, and then it just cuts really clean and nice. If you don't stretch it, you really got to saw at it. If you stretch it, it just cuts really, really clean. Like that. And no problem. Okay, now we have to break it free from the masters. Let's see if we can get it. Are we ready? Oh yeah, look at that. There they all are. There's our little boys and girls. Looking mighty fine. Mighty fine. Okay, all right. Same deal. We have this lip now of rubber that we can just trim off very easily. And we'll do that. Get this trimmed. This is cosmetics. I mean, this really wouldn't actually hurt anything, but I don't like having anything that I don't want to look at. That's no fun. So let's go around and cut this extra rubber off. Okay, same with this. Any extra rubber, let's get it cut off. Okay. You know what? When I'm not wasting your time, I'll come through and I'll fuss a little more and pick all the little snurdlets off and all that good stuff. And I'm not going to look at that this moment. You already saw me take this box apart, so why don't we kick this into hyper warpo drive and super drive and just tear this thing apart really quick. Thank you, tape. You did a beautiful job. Very nice. Perfect. Did its job. Made sure that nothing came apart. In this mold, a pretty unusual amount of rubber got underneath the piece inside, which usually doesn't happen, but it happened in this case, but did not harm anything. Just wasted a little bit of rubber that's not in the mold. All right, very good. Okay, let's pop the base off, and there they are. All right. Okay, yep, they look just fine. Came out just fine. All right, we have a couple of molds that we are ready to cut open, and we will get on to that next. I think one of the hard things for people when they contemplate cutting a mold is, and one of the things they're most intimidated about is, how do you know you're going to cut into the rubber and hit where you're supposed to hit? I know, the axis, I know the line to cut down. So I can pretty well have a clear picture in my head of how this piece is laying in the mold. And that's enough info to make me confident that I can cut this. So let's get to it. Basically, I just pull to put tension on it. You can see me pulling like that. And I make sure that I have a wicked sharp X-Acto blade. And I just come down, start making cuts. And I'm following down along the line of the sprue. That's important. I want to make the line as straight and clean as possible where it touches the model. But then away from the model, I want to make it pretty jagged, because as you have seen, if you've watched any of my previous videos, it's those jagged cuts getting down in here in this delicate part, okay? I'm just cutting between the webbing of the sprues right now. So I'm cutting down against, see how I'm cutting, can you see that? See how I'm cutting against the body of the casting? So really, you can see where you're going and you can pay pretty good attention. You really shouldn't have too much problem following along the parting line that needs to follow. Again, I'm trying to get it so you guys can see what I'm doing here, because it's pretty worthless if you can't, huh? Okay, now you see how I cut that free, that bridge free? Beautiful. On this side, I want to make sure, this is going to be the long side of the parting line. I want to make sure I'm coming down the side, which I am very nicely, thank you. Again, I'm trying to make the line straight and clean at the casting, but then really jaggedy around the casting. And that way, I have a minimum parting line to clean, but I have a good interlock between the two halves of the molds. I can tell you, I spend a fair amount of time doing this. It takes a little while to cut a mold properly, and that is pretty much how you cut each and every one of these. So I'm not going to make you sit here for the next hour while I cut this thing open, but see how that interlocks? Oh yes, look at that. Look how that mold line how that closes up. Look how that closes up. I don't care how good a craftsman you are. I'm going to talk to you for a second here, boys and girls. If you go on YouTube, you are going to see bunches of mold making channels that are going to tell you to clay up the mold. You know, you take the pattern and you put in the clay and you get it all nice and cleaned up and nice and tight, and then you put in all the little divots, and then you pour the rubber, wait 24 hours or however many hours it takes for it to cure, turn the thing over, carefully peel the clay off it, and then you got all this clay kind of smeared down in there, and you got to clean it up, you got to take a little paint thinner or whatever it is. You go on and on. I don't care how good a clay mechanic you are. I don't care how good a craftsman you are. You are never going to make a parting line that's going to be as clean as that. You just are never going to do it. Both sides. You see a parting line on there? No, you do not. And that parting line that you see in the mold is the parting line you're going to get in a casting. Now, what do you want? Do you want a casting with no visible parting lines? Or do you want a casting with a big chunky clunky clay parting line down there where you've got to sand and clean and polish and finish every inch of it? Because that's what you're going to get when you do clay up molding. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy, and it does not give you as good a result. And I understand why people don't want to do cut molds. Cut molds are a little intimidating because, you know, you're cutting blind and you're not sure that you're going to get the parting line right where you want it. And that just comes with experience and practice. There's no denying that. It just takes some experience and some practice. You can make cut molds easily and quickly, and you are going to get a much, much better result every single time. I haven't made a clay up mold, I can't even tell you, a couple of decades. I can't remember the last time I made a clay up mold. They're a waste of time, and I don't bother with them. Let's cut this kid open. We will time lapse the hell out of all this. And I will admit that these particular patterns, these models, are pretty easy to cut out. You know, it's a flat piece. It's got a parting line on both sides. It's really clear as to where it goes. You don't have a lot of complexity to cut. So this is actually an ideal model for this kind of casting and this kind of mold and this kind of production mold. It's just like it was made for it. The main thing to do is just take your time, go slow, look where you're at. Confidence in doing this just comes with practice and having done a bunch of them. You get pretty good at it. So all right, so I've got 3 done, 2 more to go on this mold. So far, no disasters have befallen me, so we're going right along. Sometimes it helps to turn the mold around. You may just change positions, look and see what you're doing. I'm just looking down in there, making sure I'm following that sprue down, making sure that I'm carefully cutting out the little bridges of rubber in between the forms. This is no different than just about any other human endeavor. The more you practice, the better you get. And the more of these you've done, the better you get. All right, that is far enough, I think. Let's see if we can pull this one. Oh, yeah. Now, the first one I cut out, I made the parting line a little shorter on this side, but I think I came to the conclusion that it was best to go down at least as far as about to there. Yeah. You got a cleaner release. Make a slightly larger, slightly longer parting line, but only slightly, and I think you're going to get, in production, when I'm cycling the molds pretty fast, I think that this length of parting line is going to let us get the molds out. And again, these parting lines are going to close up so tight and so sweet that you're just not going to have any issues with lots of cleanup on these castings. They're just going to be perfect. They're going to clean up perfectly. So last one. This actually has gone really well and really quick. Not too bad. In this kind of production mold, it's like it was made for it. It's a highly successful way of producing these castings, as you will see when we cast them, because we're going to be doing that as well. We're going to see the whole process. I turn the mold around as needed to let me see where I'm at, and also to give me better leverage on the rubber when I'm cutting it. Sometimes I even lay it down like that. There we go. There we go. Yeah, it's way easier to cut these things out when I don't have to worry about whether or not you guys can see what I'm doing, let me tell you. Video making adds an extra layer to the fun, that is for sure. Extra layer of complexity. Let's see, can you see me cut that? Can you see below? I hope you can see that. You can see me cutting that bridge. That's the rubber webbing that's between the forms. Okay, now I've cut that sprue free. I can just follow it on down now. When you pull on the rubber like this, you put a lot of tension on it, and that makes it much, much easier to cut. If you don't pull on it, you really do have to kind of saw your way through it. When you keep the rubber under tension, it just slices, just neat as can be. Okay, that's plenty. Plenty, plenty, plenty. Nice. So let's see, let's evaluate. How did we do? Pretty nice. Really nice. Really, really, really super sweet. Look how pretty that is. Just flat as can be, tight as can be. Perfecto. Okay, so now I'm ready to cut this figurine, but I've got to figure you've seen enough mold cutting to last at least one human lifetime. And anyway, I have an announcement I want to make of a little experiment. People have been coming to me asking for advice about mold making and showing me their projects. And that gave me the idea to ask you, my dear subscribers and viewers, if you have a project involving a mold and you don't know how to do it, maybe we could work together and do it. You give me the project, I will do it as a video or a series of videos on this channel. We like a 50-50 deal. You pay the materials and I supply the labor. And at the end of the project, you get a mold and some castings and I get a video. Now, this offer is only open to hobbyists and artists and do-it-yourselfers, people that are not making money off of this project. If it's a commercial project, that's what I do for a living, and it's how I make my money, so I'm not doing it for free. But if this interests you, hit me up in the comments below, and we'll get in touch. And I'm really just looking for interesting projects, the pieces that have something interesting and difficult about them, a challenge that's fun for me. And it's very instructive for those of you who are here to try to learn mold making. Thanks so much for watching. I love my subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you like this video, got something out of it, hit that like button. It really does help the channel. And please subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. And don't forget, hit me up with your projects.